All right, so tackling out shades today. Okay, so I'm going to move my paint palette over into your guys' view here so I can show you how to mix. All right. So, like I said, a little bit goes a long way. If you did not get yourself paper towels, make sure you have those because you need to be able to blot out your excess water out of your brush every time that we clean it. Okay. All right. So for you guys, I am using my green color. And this is what I mean by taking up just a little bit of black at a time. So all I'm going to do for the first go around, now I may be too cautious and I might have to remix, but I would rather be on the cautious side and have to bring in more black than make it too dark. Like my mistake this morning was I pulled in too much black and I even had to go get more color and like really restart, and I don't want to do that. So by being cautious, what I mean is only picking up just a little bit. So you're just picking up a little bit of black on your paintbrush, okay? You should even err on the side of less than you think, okay? Because it's easier, like I said, to add more black in rather than too much right here at the beginning. So our goal for this first color, it should only be a little bit darker than its original state, which is right here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start with this much. If I need to add more, I'll clean my brush up, grab a little bit more and add. So we're gonna see how it goes here. Okay, so far doing pretty good. I can tell that my green is darker than when I first originally started, and I haven't gone too crazy dark. So I pulled up kind of the exact right amount. Now, if you can really see a lot of black pulling through, like if your color has gotten super dark, you added too much, and so now you would need to come up and get yourself some more color and do a restart right here at the very beginning. Okay, so this would be my number 6. Like I said, should be just a little bit darker than my pure number 5. I'm gonna kind of get the excess paint off of my paintbrush here so that it's not too messy. And I'm going to move this paint palette out of the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and judge here to make sure that I've done it right. Okay, so as I paint this 6 next to the 5, I can tell that it is darker. It's not too crazy dark, so for right now, I'm going to leave this as my number 6. Now, I can tell that it's a little on the streaky side, as in I can kind of see the paper underneath it. And the reason why that is happening, and it didn't happen over in our tints, is white paint kind of becomes an opacifier. And opacity or opaque means you can't see through it. Okay, so that's why on all of our tints, we can't see any of the paper pulling through. Well, on our shades here, we don't have that white as a binder or as an opacifier to make it not as see-through. So on all of your shades, you may have to be putting a couple layers on so that we don't see too much paper showing through. Okay, so there I go for my number 6. It might be a little bit darker than what I wanted, but I'm just going to go ahead and kind of continue on. I think I did a little bit better in the value scale before, but I'm going to work with it, okay? It's not too dark that I can't work with it. So I'm going to clean my brush off. I'm going to blot off the extra water onto my paper towel here so I don't get my paint too runny. Then I'm going to move this value scale out of the way, and I'm going to put my paint palette back down in view. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to grab just a little bit of black, kind of like the same amount that I did the first time, and I'm shooting to make my 7 value. Okay, so I added just a little bit in there. I'm mixing it up. It still looks fairly similar to my 6, but I won't really know until I paint it right next to it to see if there's enough of a difference. If there isn't, I'll remix it and repaint over it. If there is enough of a difference and I can tell that 7 is darker than 6, then I'm good to go to move on. All right, I'm kind of cleaning my brush off here so I don't have a ton of paint. And here's a moment of truth. Okay, guys, so there's a good example on my 6 and my 7 are still too close. Okay, that's pretty much the same. So here's a good indicator where I put them right next to each other and 7's still too light, so I need to go back and remix. So I'm going to move my value scales out of the way. I'm going to put my paint palette back and I'm going to remix to make 7 darker. Get my, whoops, paper towels up there. Don't forget to blot your paintbrush on your paper towel. Grab just a little bit more black here. And I'm going to mix up again. Okay, so I'm going to try again here. All right, that's better. All right, and guys, try to practice clean painting as much as possible too. It is just fine. Okay. Now I'm going to move on to number 8. So it's basically you're just repeating the process every time, but with black paint, you're using just a little bit each time. All right. Okay, now I'm going to see if my 8 matches my, or nope, doesn't match, that my 8 is darker than 7. And looks like it. It's getting pretty dark here. Okay. So guys, I know that the shades are supposed to be dark, but you should be able to still like see your color through it. So they shouldn't all be basically black looking. They should be just a darker version of your color, okay? Up until you get to 10, 10's really the only time where it would look more black than your actual color, okay? 9 gets close, but you should still be able to inherently see whatever your color is in there. So I'm at mixing a number 9. All right, so now I'm going to compare this 9 with the 8. Hopefully I'm still getting darker, but it's not too dark. Like, my 9 should not be a straight black. And I know it's going to be hard for you guys to kind of see up on the screen there. My 9 got a little, it's a little on the too dark side. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it. Oh, hey, thanks. All right, and then let's talk about square number 10. If you want to make it straight black, fine. I personally am not going to, because I like the idea that there's still some of that color in there. It makes black a bit more rich instead of kind of being a dead color. So even though I'm on technically number 10 and my darkest value, I'm still just going to pull more black into my green and just make the darkest green that I can. It really, visually, it should look kind of straight black, but there's a difference. There'll be a little bit of a difference on if I went straight black and then with it with some green. It's subtle, but you can tell. Or maybe you guys can't, I don't know. All right, so here is my very last value. And there we go. So 10 should be your darkest value on your whole scale. Okay, so that's kind of what you're aiming for, guys. If this kind of collectively gives you, like my purple scale, I could do a lot of adjusting. My teal scale, I think, is pretty good. It shows all the way from my 0 to my darkest, and I have nice good increments in there. The only thing that maybe I could change was to go back and add a little bit more color to my 4, so it's not as big of a jump between 4 and 5. The value scale with you guys, with my green, it's okay. I think it's kind of in the middle as far as like how well I did my shades and my craftsmanship. Okay? All right, so that's that for your value.